Hey everybody. Welcome to SoulSpace podcast number 61, I think.
Wowzer.
61. Yay.
Whoop, whoop.
So awesome. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about your emotions and coaching. Some stuff about what we can coach on, I guess.
Yeah. Learning to master your emotions is kind of one of the things that we do in coaching. And it's one of the things that's super important in your process as you're learning and you're going along and you're wanting to make more and more progress faster.
Right. Yeah.
Because your emotions tell you where you're at vibrationally.
Yeah.
So as you master your emotions, you're mastering your vibration, which helps you to get the things you want faster.
Right.
So,
have you ever noticed that for some people, emotions seem to control them, and they really, their emotions can really knock them off their rocker, or off their stability. So today we're going to help you improve your ability to handle those situations and be able to pivot your way out of that. And we've talked about pivoting a lot and the emotional guidance skills. So we'll kind of touch on that and just help you better be able to control those emotions and keep them under check for yourself so you don't get out of whack so easy. And you can help others do it too.
right. And in a way that's healthy, in a way that's acknowledging your emotions and moving forward rather than stuffing them down and getting stuck in that space.
Right. Yeah.
That's something that's really important, that not everybody has that set of skills.
Yeah.
Or even if you do, they can always be improved, right? Because we're always a work in progress. And all of us have ups and downs, but we can make those peaks and valleys more like molehills.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And when you talked about stuffing your emotions, that was something that I did my whole childhood. And I learned that from my parents and my grandparents. They never talked about anything, and so that was just a way of life. And that's with a lot of, we're from up north and come from Scandinavian and English backgrounds, kind of.
Very stoic,
very stoic.
Not sharing emotional things.
Yeah. And that was something, I thought it was normal because that's everyone I knew did the same thing. We didn't talk about stuff.
Right.
And I'm sure you came from the same kind of background pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, you did.
So we have a lot in common if you haven't noticed. But I just didn't know any other way to be, really, until I met my husband, who is totally opposite of that. So that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
And I'm writing a book about it. So yeah, it just, I didn't know that you could talk about things, that
Right.
I always thought, you just keep that stuff in,
Right. It wasn't a societal expectation,
right,
that we talk about if something's bothering us, or if we have something going on inside, to be able to express that. And that's one thing that is really important for all of us that have maybe had those experiences or grown up that way, to learn how to express ourselves appropriately.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, when they bottle it up, then they explode later.
Yeah.
And that's not a healthy way of living life or doing things, or for building relationships. And so one of the really important pieces, besides improving our vibration through mastering our emotions, is also improving the way that we interact with others by mastering our emotions, and the positivity that comes from that, and the stableness of your life that comes from that, and the joy that you can begin to experience by allowing yourself to move up the emotional scale. So this is a fun subject, and it's one that we touch on a lot, but we really wanted to touch on different points of it today, and how, some of the ways that we help when we do coaching.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to do kind of a deep dive into it, and it's going to be fun. So
yes.
Yeah. So what's one of the top things that you recommend for controlling your not so much controlling, but with the emotions. What is one of the top teaching things that you give to your clients about?
My favorite thing is acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Is okay. Recognizing where am I at on that emotional scale?
Right.
Where am I? Because
Yeah.
that's one thing,
Yeah.
one piece that sometimes not everybody is adept at, is recognizing what emotion am I actually experiencing right now.
Yeah.
And so that's where like the emotional guidance scale is super useful, because you can be like, okay, am I frustrated? Am I annoyed? Am I angry? Am I happy? Like, what is my emotion? Labeling it and acknowledging I feel this.
Yep. Yep.
Because a lot of people, they're just like, well, I shouldn't feel that way. I shouldn't feel that way. I shouldn't feel that way. Shouldn't and do are two very different things.
Right.
And allowing yourself to acknowledge, I feel this way. Oh, that in itself is a relief point.
It's huge, yeah. And it doesn't mean you have to stay there. We don't want you to stay there if it's a lower.
It's negative.
Yeah. But just acknowledging it and knowing that you can move up from there is a huge breakthrough for a lot of people.
Right.
Just thinking, oh, okay, well, I know I can feel a little bit better than this. I don't have to stay angry, or whatever that emotion is. You can always move up the scale, and it's so easy once you learn and do it.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. That's what I love. It's like, once you recognize, where am I at?
Yeah.
Okay, I can say, okay, where am I at? Okay, I recognize where I'm at. Where do I want to be?
Yeah.
Am I where I want to be? If not, then I know that I can begin to move up the scale, to move towards where it is that I actually want to be.
Yeah.
But I can acknowledge, this is where I'm at. This is what happened. Especially a lot of times recognizing where you're at has to do, a lot of people notice that most when something adverse has happened, something that they don't prefer.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why kind of those examples kind of go that way of like, I acknowledge that I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated about the traffic today, and I'm just so annoyed. So I'm frustrated. Okay, well, I'm already up to annoyed. Well, hey, I moved up a little bit when I said I'm annoyed at the traffic, right?
Yeah.
And
Didn't
so
even have to work at it.
I didn't have to do it. I just I moved up to the next step. I can do it pretty naturally at this point in time. But,
we've done it a lot.
I've done it a lot.
Yeah.
Practice makes progress, as they say.
Right.
I work at a school. Can you tell? Okay, so, but it's true. It's true.
It is.
But yeah, so then you can begin to move up. So that recognition point is one of the most important things that people tend to not do, because they'll go, I'm frustrated, I shouldn't feel that way. Well, you're frustrated and you do feel that way.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have your feelings. That's another thing. People think like, I shouldn't. Well, shouldn't is a dumb word.
Right.
And I don't think it should even exist.
Yeah.
Mostly in the English language, except for to be able to say it shouldn't exist.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you have to recognize you do have your emotions, and your emotions have their place. And we'll talk about that as we go along. Emotions are important. And for you to be able to recognize that and recognize where you're at can help you to move forward in a lot of ways. And that's like step one, is recognition and acknowledgement. And to allow yourself to actually have your feelings, because once you allow yourself to have them, you're not stuffing them anymore, and you're able to move through them. It's a much more fluid process to pivot and move through than it is if you're like, stuff it down and try to tell yourself that you shouldn't feel that way.
Right. Yeah. You never poo-poo or tell yourself you shouldn't feel that. You feel it for a reason. So always recognize that and acknowledge it, because otherwise you are stuffing it. Even if you don't think you're holding it back or stuffing, you are, if you're not letting yourself just, okay, I'm angry right now, or I'm frustrated, whatever. You need to acknowledge that, and then it dissipates a lot easier.
That starts to move you already just by that acknowledgement piece. You feel that sense of relief of actually acknowledging yourself and how you feel. And that's so important, because you are important, and the way that you feel is important, and you're feeling that way for a reason. And if you think that you shouldn't feel that way, well, then you recognize within yourself, okay, I feel that way, but that's not where I want to be. And that's not in line with where my thoughts actually are. So I can allow myself to start to begin to move forward towards what I know I
Yeah.
want and where I
Yeah.
know I want to be and how I feel like I should feel in this situation. Like, I know, like, I shouldn't feel frustrated that the traffic is around me because it's always there, but I do feel frustrated. So
And
I'm
in a
not where I want to
way,
be, but I can acknowledge where I'm
right,
at so I can move towards what I do want.
yeah, and you're validating that then, you're telling yourself, okay, it is okay to feel this right now in the moment. But I know that I don't want to stay there, so I'm gonna look for a better feeling, oh, I'm stuck behind traffic right now, but I can listen to a cool song on the radio and maybe do some little dancing in the
Yeah.
car,
It gives me a
or
little bit of
sing.
extra time on the way to work.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice, actually, because
Yeah,
once I get to work, I know I'm gonna have to hit the ground running. So
right,
do my little
yeah,
dance party in my car.
yeah, that's what I do. If you ever see me at a stop sign, I'm jamming.
What's that happening in your car?
Yeah, so just allow yourself to validate those feelings but don't stay there, just move on and look for something better to think about and.
Right, and they always talk about when you're talking to somebody and you're building a relationship to validate their feelings. So
Yeah,
isn't it just as important to validate your own feelings?
right. And one of my favorite, I don't know if it's a quote or saying, is to treat yourself like your best friend, and when you say something mean to yourself, or you're acknowledging something and, oh, that's stupid or something like that, think about that and think, would you talk to your best friend like that?
Right.
No, you wouldn't. So be gentle with yourself and acknowledge that you are loving yourself and allowing yourself to feel things. We need to feel that. Sometimes we get in a box where we don't want to look or feel, or we just are on this sheeple path or whatever,
Right.
and just going along with life, and pretty soon it's a month later and you don't know anything that happened that whole month. You haven't enjoyed life like you should.
And that's when people begin to feel stuck.
Yeah,
And this is one of those steps
right.
towards getting that out of that stuck feeling, because you stuff so many feelings down, you kind of numb
Yeah.
yourself out.
Yeah,
Super
Yeah.
common.
yeah, it is. And that's when you drink too much or you take a drug, or, even prescriptions, a lot of times if you just learn to deal with those emotions and deal with those things and not stuff them down, you're not gonna need that help.
Right.
You're gonna be
A
able
lot of people
to,
could get off of that, those
Right.
prescriptions and stuff,
yeah,
if they learn to deal with their feelings in
Yeah.
healthy ways.
yeah,
And prescriptions have their place and they can be
Right.
wonderful for certain things, but
absolutely.
not everybody that's on them
Really
would
needs
need them if they learn the skills that they need
Yeah,
to
yeah.
move out of that space.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, it's really something that I think should be taught in school.
Yeah.
Is to how to deal with your emotions, and
Absolutely.
there's a couple of really good kids movies that are so awesome.
Well, like Inside Out is one
Inside
of
Out
them.
1 and 2, they're so good, even if you're an adult and you don't have a kid to go to the movie with. I think it's streaming now, so watch it on Netflix or wherever it is, Disney or something, but those 2 movies are so good to help you, and I'm so glad they're making movies like that for kids, because it can really help them. I took my grandson, he was 12 at the time when the second one came out, and he loved it. Him and his buddy just loved it, and
Such a good age for that.
yeah, they go through the emotional roller
Oh,
coaster at that age.
yes.
So
The
boys
emotional
and girls.
ability is real.
Yeah, and if they have something like that can teach them how to go through it, and or a coach or somebody that they can talk to help them go through those emotions, it can make a world of difference for any age people, really.
Yeah.
If you haven't focused on that and really paid attention to what's going on, again, we talk about it every week. What's going on in your body? What are you feeling, thinking? What's going on? Just
Right.
to acknowledge that. And it's huge.
It is
Yeah.
super huge, and that's why, we talk about it a lot. It's
Mhm.
basic step one.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so, we will put the emotional guidance scale in the comments. I think we've done it on a few podcasts, but we'll do it again. So you have it, and it's, the one we use is out of the book, by Esther and Jerry Hicks. I don't remember
Yeah.
which book. It's
Ask and
probably
it is
not
given.
Ask and It Is Given.
It's, I believe,
You know it by heart.
number
Lauren.
22 in the back of the book,
Okay.
the emotional guidance scale
Yeah.
and the process and how to use it. And we do variations of that in our coaching.
Mhm.
And we've done some really in-depth podcasts on the emotional guidance scale. So
Yeah.
if you're interested in more of that, and we'll talk a little bit more about it today, but if
Mhm.
you're really wanting like an in-depth look at that part of it and how to do the process, go back to some of our other podcasts because we've done some in-depth on it and you'll love
Yeah.
it. It's such a useful tool.
Right, yeah, we've done a lot of freedom release method with the emotions too, so
Yes.
that's really good. So go back and find those if this is a place that you're stuck, or if this is a place that you need help, message one of us or have a session, or, just go watch the videos there. There's all kinds of help out there for you on
Yes.
it, so,
Absolutely.
yeah. What else do we want to talk about emotions?
Well, one thing that I really love, and this is a little bit more in depth about what emotions are,
Mm,
is that emotions are signals. They're not commands on what to do.
yeah,
And that's
Yeah.
what's really important. Your emotions are your signposts. Your emotions tell you, where am I at vibrationally in relation to where I want to be, in relation to where my soul is going, in relation to my path. People call it a lot of times in relation to all the things that I'm calling in vibrationally, all the things that I want. Where am I in relation to that? And that's what your emotions tell you. So if you're on the emotional scale, if you're less than satisfied,
yeah,
you are away vibrationally from the things that you're trying to call in. You're not in that same vibrational space where they can all come to you. You're not in receiving mode, as they would call it, as Esther Hicks would call it,
yeah,
as Abraham would call it. And so that's what your emotions really are. They're your signposts. There's no negative or positive emotions, even though we label them that way because that's how they feel.
mhm,
But there's only good emotions because your emotions tell you where you're at.
yeah,
And isn't that so useful?
really,
So
really
useful.
useful, yeah. If you didn't pay attention to that, you would just be numb all day. I mean, you
Right, you're
wouldn't,
just floating around willy-nilly. I don't know really what's going on or what direction to go or where I'm
Yeah.
at or,
yeah, you wouldn't know like what you like and what you don't like,
Right.
that's how you know. So, learn to pay attention to that and watch how your body feels.
Mhm. And that's another thing. So the acknowledgement piece is so important because
Mhm.
by recognizing and acknowledging where you're at, you can know where am I at vibrationally? Because people are like, I don't know where I'm at on my path. I don't know if I'm close to getting this one thing or manifesting this or whatever. You do know. You just don't know how to recognize and know that you know.
Yeah.
And that's where your emotions come in.
Right.
Your emotions tell you where you're at vibrationally.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling really good and you're happy and you're enjoying, you're in that receiving mode. You're in that space of flow where
Mhm.
everything's happening, everything's coming to you, and you're manifesting at a quick level, right?
Yeah.
But when you're less than satisfied, you're annoyed, you're a little bit like blah, you're sad, that's when you're further away from that. You're vibrationally further away. And that's why the emotional guidance scale is so important. As you work your way up that, you're working your way back into
Mhm.
receiving mode. Because think about this, all of the things that you want in your life, you're like, oh, I'd love to have this, and this would be fun, and I want to go here, and I want to do this. Those things, you want them because they would feel good to you.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want things that make you feel bad? Oh, I want this thing because it'll make me feel bad.
No.
No, of course not. So all of those things vibrationally are in that space of satisfied and above, of enjoyment, of excitement, of passion, of, oh, it just feels so good to be at the lake, things like that, those emotions. And so when you're in those emotions, that's where you're at vibrationally.
Yeah.
And so to meet those things, to have them meet you via law of attraction, like attracts like, you meet those things vibrationally where you're at. They meet you, they're coming to you at that moment.
Mhm.
So you need to think about these things.
Yeah.
Where am I at? Because if you acknowledge where you're at, you can figure out where you want to be.
Right, and if you're not getting the things that you want, or you're not, you just don't, you seem to be stuck in a certain place, or you're not getting closer to your goals, or, you know, closer to something that you wanted to manifest, or, you know, whatever that is, or even a way you feel, you just haven't felt good. Well, what are you concentrating on, and what are you feeling like throughout your day? Are you always grumping about stuff, or, you know, being sarcastic about things? Those are keeping your vibration low and keeping your emotions at a lower level on the scale. So once you start looking for things that make you smile, or, you know, feel a little better, or listening to music, or doing the things that bring you more joy, that's moving yourself automatically up that emotional scale. So, we talk about it so much, you just have to start learning to move yourself up that scale, and it's not hard. It doesn't have to be hard. Just look for things, and you can always look for something to be grateful for, or whatever, to move yourself up. So just recognizing, always recognize where you're at. Check in with yourself.
Pay attention.
Yeah, pay attention. And you're gonna learn to float up that scale pretty easily. And you know, recognize, oh, I'm just so crabby today. Okay, but just even saying that gets it out. And it feels like, oh, I guess, why was I crabby? I don't remember.
Right.
You know, what, I don't need to feel that way anymore, so.
Right, and that's the thing with me, one of the things that's been huge for me in the last couple of years is I've been able to say when I'm crabby. Like,
Mhm.
wow, I'm crabby. There's no reason for me to crabby, I just feel crabby. I'll tell my husband. Like, you know, we communicate, like I tell
Yeah,
him things.
yeah.
I'm like, I feel crabby today and I don't know why. I'm like, I have no reason to be crabby. I'm just telling you ahead of time that
Yeah,
I'm crabby for no reason. He's like, yeah, I could tell. I was like, and we both laugh about it.
yeah,
You know, but I had to get it out. I had to say it and
Yeah.
acknowledge it. And, you know, and he acknowledged it too. And with us, I mean, that's totally fine because it's like, yeah, you were. I was like, yeah, I know.
And
Right? So that
yeah.
happens. But the thing is like you acknowledge it, you get it out, and then you can pivot, you can move up.
Yeah, and a lot of times just recognizing it helps you move up easily.
Yeah,
And
like
you
I
can
said,
laugh
and we
about
laugh
it.
about it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
this is silly. Like,
Yeah.
why am I so
right.
upset? There's
Yeah.
no reason.
Yeah. Maybe you're hangry.
You know, most of the time probably is angry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just so critical to your day to start recognizing those emotions, and that's really the most important thing, right? Is to just start recognizing them and checking in with yourself, and how do you feel if stuff starts going wrong, or going, you know, you stub your toe, you miss the green light, you miss the parking spot. Think about it. Okay, where are my emotions at right now? Am I drawing this in because I'm crabby, or because I'm feeling off, or feeling like I don't deserve, or whatever it is? Those are your emotions telling you, hey, check out this sunshine out here, or whatever. Yeah, pay attention, and find something better to make you feel better.
Right, and
Yeah.
that's the thing that we really emphasize, not staying there.
Mhm.
You don't have to stay there, because here's the thing, the more things you complain about, the more things you find to complain about, and the more things there'll be to complain about, and the more
Yeah.
things you find to complain about. And I don't think people always recognize
No.
how much they're actually complaining
Mhm.
until they begin to pivot.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes we sink into that with others, like somebody else is complaining, and then you're like, yeah, and you can collude with them.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to do. And it takes a little bit more skill to go, yeah, I recognize that that's frustrating. And that, you know what? It is too bad that that's happening right now. But hey, did you know about blah, 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 blah?
Mhm.
And getting used to changing the subject. And that's
Yeah.
something that I've practiced for
Yeah.
years and years and years.
Yeah,
And so I do that all the time. That's one of the reasons my work environment is so positive.
yeah.
Because we might start complaining a little bit, and I'll be like, I'll catch us. And I go, you know, you guys, we're going to negative town.
Yeah.
So what about something else, you know, and then we can move on,
Uh-huh.
you know, and that's one of the things that we've kind of trained ourselves to do. And I have a lot to do with that because that's the environment I want to be in. I don't want to be in a negative town environment.
Yeah,
It's no fun. Nobody wants
yeah,
to be in that. Complain, 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 complain,
Yeah.
complain. I mean, it might feel good to get it out, but once you start rolling that ball down the hill, that ball's gonna keep rolling down the hill until you
Right.
pivot to bring it back up again.
Yeah.
And so recognizing when you start to do that is
Mhm.
important too. What words am I saying? What am I hearing myself say? Listen to your own words
Yeah,
when you're talking. And how do I sound? You might recognize that, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much I was complaining. And that's part of the reason that things are kind of slowed down a bit.
Yeah, yeah, I used to do that at a couple different workplaces that I was at too. Someone would always be, he was happy to be miserable. And he would just try and bring that misery to everybody, you know, and he would do it in a joking way, you know, like, oh, don't be happy, don't smile, you know, and he always joking around, and I'd always say, yeah, but it's another beautiful day. And he'd look at me like, screw your beautiful day. You know, why do you always say that? And he would get mad because I was trying to make him feel better, you know? And it was just a kind of a fun thing. After a while, it was a banter between us, you know, but he was in a better mood most of the time after we did that. And after, yeah, but it's another beautiful day, you know,
Because
so.
how do you not smile
Right.
when somebody's trying to, you know, make you laugh?
Yeah. Another place I worked at, we gave away, during Christmas time, we gave away Grinch bucks, we called them. So if somebody was doing something good or helping somebody out, we'd give them a Grinch buck. So the managers would give them out. And we had so much fun with that. It brought the morale up from where the place that I worked so much that it was just a blast. And then the people that collected those Grinch bucks got to buy prizes at a Christmas party with them. And it was just the most fun thing ever to do at a workplace. And it got people, you know, thinking about helping your buddy out or help a brother out, you know, help each other out during the workday, do some nice things for people. And it really makes the whole building feel better, and everybody works better together. So yeah, just there's so many things that you can do in the emotional realm, you know,
And the
working.
thing that I really like about what you're talking about is like
Mhm.
it was those Grinch bucks were just something that reminded people to pay attention, reminded people to
Yeah.
find the good,
Yeah.
reminded people to pay attention to how they were feeling and
Mhm.
and recognizing, hey, that person looks like they could use help, or you know, it was like a good reminder to pay
Yeah.
attention
Yeah.
and to help each other out and to, you know, if you needed help, you know, you could ask somebody, hey, I'll give you some
Right.
Grinch bucks to help me out.
Yeah.
It was like a good incentive to remind you to pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah. It was good. There's so many things that you can do to help yourself and help others around you. And when you're paying attention to your emotions and going up that scale when you need to climb out of a bad day or out of those lower emotions, it ripples out and affects everyone around you. So it can really help everybody that you work with, your family, your friends, all the way around. And it can touch people that you aren't even thinking about, you know, helping and touching. So pay attention to them. It's the easiest thing you can do.
Yeah.
Right?
I think something that's also really important is remembering to forgive yourself for
Yeah.
not being perfect in the way that you feel, for not being perfect in
Right.
your judgment of other people and yourself, and for not being perfect in your thoughts and emotions. And just acknowledging that, yeah, I'm not perfect with that, but I know that I'm actively working on getting better.
Yeah.
And I'm going to work on that every day and making that decision for yourself. You know, so much good and amazing things happen when you make a decision.
Yeah.
You just decide, I have decided that I am going to work on mastering my emotions. I'm gonna work on creating like a beautiful emotional state for myself, because that's
Mhm.
where I want to be. That's
Right.
where everything that I want is. That's where the
Mhm.
enjoyment of my life is. And that's where my good and positive relationships are. That's where the job that I really want is. That's where
Mhm.
those vacations are.
Yeah.
And reminding ourselves, like, it's okay that I'm not perfect though. I'm not going to beat myself up.
Yeah.
If I feel frustrated again and I know that I'm
And
vibrationally in
you're
a different
always
space.
gonna go up and down that scale.
It's normal and it's
Right.
human to do that, but what's
Mhm.
good about it is just not beating yourself up.
Yeah.
When you do start to slide down again, instead,
Yeah.
recognize and
Pivot.
pivot.
Yeah. And we need a shirt that says that, pivot.
Pivot.
And know that you're in control of that for yourself. You can't control anybody else's emotions, but you can control them in yourself. And if somebody is blowing up about something or being really negative, you know that you can control yourself into not going there with them
Right.
or not, participating in that. You can just, walk the other way or say, yeah, but what about this? And try and get them to go up the scale a bit, or else just not participate in their crabbiness.
Right. Or empathize.
Or-
Just say, you know what?
Yeah,
I completely understand where you're coming from,
I
and I could
acknowledge
tell
where
that
you
you're
feel.
frustrated. That
Right,
you're frustrated,
yeah,
and that's okay.
yeah,
And
but.
then you don't have to go any further than that if you don't want to.
Yeah.
You just go, okay, I acknowledged it. And if
Mhm.
they want to talk about it, they can. Sometimes that makes them feel better, and then you all move on.
Yeah.
Or if they just keep blowing up and they blow up at you, you're like, okay, well, I want to move on. I'll see you later.
Yeah, I did.
Bye.
I
Go
did.
to staff lunch for a while. I'll see you in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I tried.
But right, other
Yeah.
people's emotions don't have to bring you down too.
Right.
You can support from a higher place, and that's actually
Mhm.
better, because
That's
if
really
you
good.
start to come down with them, you can't support them and lift them up.
Yeah, yeah. Always remember that, to lend a hand up, but don't go down to that level with them.
Right.
Always bring them up to your emotional level rather than going down to theirs. Yeah, that's a huge thing to remember. So you're not faltering in who you are and where you're at and at your emotional level. So
Right.
very good.
Yeah. Instead of collusion,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
lift each other up.
Right. Let's go this way.
Let's go
Yeah.
to our happy place.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So, we'll put the link to the emotional scale in the comments. And we'd like to know if this helped you, if it gave you any insights. Let us know, because we love to talk about these coaching points that we've been kind of doing a series on here.
Right.
And there's help out there. If you need help with it, let us know.
Right. And this is
Message us.
something we're so adept at too, is helping
Mhm.
people
Yeah.
to begin to master
Mhm.
their emotions and
Right.
become more stable in their vibration and to
Mhm.
feel and enjoy their lives. That's something that especially you have a whole series on
Mhm.
feeling and finding you, and
Yep.
finding the joy in your life.
Yeah, 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 it's so, people sometimes get stuck where they think, oh, we don't have, we're just, go to work, go home, that's all there is, go to work, go home. You get kind of stuck in a rut, but there's so much joy in life if you go looking for it, that you can feel and enjoy and not be, even if you work the same job for 40 years, you can still have joy in that and do fun things with it and notice all the things around you in your life that are bringing you joy, and look for them, seek them out, because there's so much there. Yeah, I remember taking a soul coaching class once, and there was a gal in there that our teacher or our guide asked us, what are some things that have brought you joy in your life, or something like that, or what gives you happiness in your life? And one of the gals said, I don't know that I've ever had it. And I remember how heavy that made me feel. And because I've had a pretty happy life, even though I've had a lot of things happen that weren't so great, but I've still basically had it. I've always made my life happy, as much as I can. And knowing that it's in your control. And I don't think she knew that it was in her control, that she could help herself feel happy no matter what was going on around her. And not that she had a terrible life, but she just didn't look for that. She didn't know that you could do that,
I mean, maybe it's something she didn't know really what happy felt like.
Yeah.
So how do I seek it out if I
Right,
don't really
if I
know
don't know what it is, yeah.
what it is?
Mhm,
And so being able to recognize what happy is
mhm.
and acknowledging that within herself when she does feel that way.
Yeah, yeah, so let us know if you need help. If you don't know what that feels like, we'll
Right.
help you.
Right. I mean, that's a big
Yeah.
part of what we do.
And that's why we started our podcast, really, was to help people live a happier life and feel better.
Right.
In their life, whatever that is.
Yeah,
So,
start to pivot and learn to enjoy
yeah,
all the little things that are
right.
coming towards you, all the gold that you can pick out from each day.
Yeah, yeah. So Carissa, any last words before we? Do you think?
I think that we've covered things pretty well today,
Yeah,
and the way
that's
what we wanted
awesome.
to talk about. And we do hope that you guys reach out, let us know
Mhm.
what you want to learn about, or if you have questions on any of this, or
Yeah.
you do want to say, well, what would it be like to work with you? We want to know. We want to know what your thoughts are on this too. And so feel free to send us a message or comment.
Yep.
We're always wanting to hear from you.
Yeah. And
But
where can we find you?
I was gonna say, where can we find you? You caught me, beat me to it. Well, for me, you can find me on Facebook at Light of Hope Healing. You can find us collectively at Our Soul Space on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
And then you can find me on my Square site, which Tracy loves, which is
I'm gonna tell you how to fix that.
light-of-hope-healing.square.site. Light of Hope Healing with dashes in between .square.site. That's again, hashtag get Carissa website.
Yes.
So Tracy, where can people find you if they
I'm
want to
gonna
follow you
sign
directly?
off tonight. You can find me at inspiredsignals.com and Inspired Signals on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and TikTok is just my name, Tracy Go, but I'm really haven't been on there much yet, but it's coming, it's
why
coming.
not? 'Cause
I have
TikTok is
some
fun.
ideas brewing, yeah, it'll be fun. You're gonna be too, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can look for us everywhere, and we would love to hear from you. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you guys
Yeah.
next week with
Okay.
something else pretty awesome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.